morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to a whole new way of thinking about productivity. If this is your first in the whole new way of thinking of series, I recommend you plan to take a little time to watch the video called A Whole New Way of Thinking About Thought. It'll give you a deeper understanding of the principles behind the other videos in the series. And in this video in particular, I'm going to be sharing with you a way of understanding productivity that is probably different to the way you've thought of in the past, that will probably change the way you think about things like time management and the way you think about planning. But what I hope you get from it most of all is a sense that productivity is already within reach, that it's not a whole new set of disciplines you need to learn. It's a simple shift in understanding that will change the game for you. And one of the conversations that sort of first pointed me towards the distinction I'm going to be sharing you with was I was talking to Jack Canfield. Now, many of you will know Jack Canfield from the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And I was interviewing him for Hay House. And I asked him, we were just chatting before the interview, and I said, "Are you busy at the moment?" And he stopped to think about it, and he said, "No." He said, "I've got a lot on, but I'm not busy." And I recognized what he was talking about. I'd never thought of it that way. That there's a difference between having a lot on and being busy. Busy is a feeling. Busy is actually the feeling of having a busy mind, of having a lot of thinking going on in your head, and sort of that feeling gets projected onto whatever it is you're doing. So you might only have one or two things on your plate, but you feel busy. Similarly, you might have 100 things on your plate, but when you're taking them as they come and you're not trying to hold them all in mind at the same time, you don't feel busy. And probably the most sort of embarrassing way that I got that lesson was when we'd first moved to America and we had our first American child. And so we had 3 kids, all under the age of 7. And my wife wanted me to help out more around the house. And I, as far as I was concerned, would have loved to, but I was working all the hours God sends, and I wasn't sure how she thought I was going to fit anything more into my already busy schedule. And so I'd read, embarrassing though this is, I'd read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and there's a story in there where Stephen Covey talks about that he wanted the head of the university where he was teaching to help him out with some things to do with his course load. And the head of the university showed Stephen Covey his schedule and said, "Well, okay, here's what I'm doing from 7 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week. Tell me which of these things you'd like me to give up so that I can help you." And Stephen Covey was chastened and realized that, what a great guy and how silly of me to ask for help. So in my mind, I'm the head of the university and Nina is Stephen Covey, and she's like, "Silly professor." And so I start writing up my schedule, all the things I do each day, so that I can go to Nina and I can say, "Hey, look, honey." And to my utter embarrassment, it turned out that I was actually only doing stuff that really mattered about an hour or 2 a day. And that all the rest of my time was spent thinking about what I needed to do, thinking about what I should do, doing stuff to relieve the stress and tension of all the thinking I was doing about how busy I was. And suffice it to say, I never showed her my time map, but I started helping out with the kids more. Well, that's what leads me to a distinction around productivity. And that's that productivity is not a measure of how much you get done. It's a measure of the ratio between effort and reward. How much bang are you getting for your buck? How much juice are you getting to each squeeze? How much reward are you getting for each effort? And it's a ratio. So we think of productivity, we talk about productivity as though the ratio of effort to reward is 1 to 1. So if I do one thing, I'll get 1 unit of reward, and if I do 5 things, I'll get 5 units of reward. So the secret to becoming more productive is do more. Put in more effort, and you'll get more reward. And so that's why systems like time management and efficiency and planning start to seem crucially important, because it's all about how do I cram more effort into the same amount of time? How do I get more done in less time? But that's based on the idea of a one-to-one work to reward ratio, one-to-one effort to reward. Well, I'm sure you've had times that you probably know are called diminishing rewards, where you've been staring at the email template for an hour, or you've been reading the same piece of technical information that you need to learn for the third or fourth time, realizing it's not going in. There you could say the ratio is like 5 units of effort to 1 unit of reward. Well, in the same way, there are also times where it seems that you almost do nothing and everything happens. Like, you don't quite know how, but you just show up and the dominoes start to fall. And dominoes is a nice example of it. That sometimes, if you've got a row of dominoes set up, you just have to push the first domino and all the dominoes fall. That's an example of what I call effortless productivity. You could call it quantum productivity because you're getting so much more reward for each effort that it feels effortless. And the beauty of exponential productivity, quantum productivity, effortless productivity is you don't have to get better at squeezing more into your time. You just start paying attention to how much reward are you getting from each effort? How much bang are you getting for your buck? How much juice are you getting to each squeeze? So you could say that the secret of effortless productivity is not in squeezing more oranges. It's in learning to get more juice from each squeeze.